CFO PlayBook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with ACCA Uganda and Deloitte.
Hello, good people. My name is Muhereza Chamtetera. You can also call me Cham. I'm the executive editor of the CEO East Africa Magazine. And once again, we are proud and happy to bring you the CFO Playbook, which is a production by the CEO East Africa Magazine, in where we delve into the journey to financial leadership. We will be looking at the finance profession in general, looking at the changing landscape, the trends, the challenges, as well as the opportunities as told by the people who make it happen, and these are the CFOs. So in the conversations that we are having, we're also trying to explore explore how the different leaders in the profession have pushed their boundaries and been able to grow to where they are. With us today is an interesting guest, because you rarely see the armed forces or security forces appear in some of these engagements like the awards, because we know they are busy, they are running the country. But with us today, we have a now very familiar face, Major Julius Katanaka. He's the head of finance of Wazalendo. And if I'm right, I think Wazalendo is a savings arm of the UPDF, our national army. And Major Julius is not new to the awards. In 2019, he won the award for sustainability. And in 2022, he was the runner-up for the CFO of the Year award. So as you can see, he's a well-grounded fellow in his profession. So today we are here to learn from him on a number of things. But for starters, we want to hear a little bit about the story, his bit of background, and did he always want to be a finance person? And how did it all happen? How did we end here?
Thank you, chaps. When I was young, during my school days, my interest was to become an engineer. However, along the way, things did not work. I ended up doing accounting, and thereafter I joined the forces. Now I changed the profession and I joined the military. However, during my service, I used to like these professional courses. I used to like, because I would read profiles of people who have gone through them. And in 2011, I decided to give it a trial. I came here to this office, I applied, and I was admitted. Then, because I didn't have enough time to do the studies, however, I tried my best and started the course. I passed my first two papers, and I was admitted to the Corps. I did this course in 2.5 years, and after finishing this course, I went back to the forces. Though I was studying while working as a soldier, doing other duties of military, then when I finished, I presented my papers to the leadership, and they appreciated the course. And I was appointed as an auditor of Special Forces Command, where I worked for several years. And after that, I was appointed as a senior internal auditor of Wazalendo, where I worked for about 3 years. And thereafter, I was promoted to be the head of finance. So that has been my journey, and I've been the head of finance of Wazalendo for the last 5 years now. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And there may be a couple of other people out there who are thinking, oh, okay, is this doable? Is this something that I can do? It would be interesting to know, what would you say are some of the challenges you faced, and how were you able to overcome them? Maybe somebody out there could get inspired and know that it's not too late. I can still be able to pursue my finance goals or dreams.
See, what makes someone to achieve what his desire is the will. If you are willing to do something and you have decided to go for it, you go for it wholesomely. I remember in my early days when I had just started, my brother came and found me doing a revision. I was doing some tests, trying to mark myself using the kit. And I got 35%. And he asked me, do you know that this course is too hard and you might be wasting your money? And I told him, no. I went for it and I must achieve what I've come to. So it is all about the determination and will.
Yes.
To achieve what you want. Then you get it.
Okay.
Because according to me, one of the hardest things that I have ever encountered was military training. In military training, there is a course which is called cadet. It is the hardest in military. And if you are not strong enough, you run away. But the fact that I sustained that training, I felt that this was more easier for me to achieve because there was no pressure. So I put in a lot of effort and made it.
Okay.
And everybody else there outside can do it if he's determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're comparing notes with your other, your classmates, your other colleagues and peers in the profession, is it any different, in the private sector, in the world out there, than it is in the military? Do you find any remarkable differences, or the principles are the same?
Okay. Basically, you see, any good business or any good profession, the most important thing is discipline.
Yes.
And in military, discipline is our first priority. So even this profession requires discipline and requires integrity.
Yes.
Those are the key. If you have discipline, you have integrity, you are transparent, and you are accountable. Because in the military, you have to account for every action that you do. So those values, both in military and in the accounting, they are almost the same.
Okay. Okay. Do you find any other values apart from discipline that the military shares with finance?
Yes, professionalism. Professionalism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, there's been talk, and I mean, it's in reality, the role of the CFO has been evolving, and many of the speakers we've talked to before, they say it's no longer about just the numbers alone, but you have to be involved in in the strategic direction of the business. In fact, one of the speakers said that at some point as a CFO, you find where there's that part of the job description where they say and any other duties assigned to you. Yes. You find that sometimes you have to do more of any other duties than the actual So how has it the role evolved from where you sit, and what have been your experiences?
Okay, previously, finance officers or accountants were looked at as the number crunchers. You're always looking at numbers. However, this has evolved over time. And the finance officers have become strategic thinkers for the organization. And how does strategic thinking come in finance? Because you are planning for the organization, you are looking at the strategic objectives of the organization. You are looking at the goals. You are looking at the vision and mission. Therefore, you should think strategically to ensure that the strategic objectives of the organization are achieved. And then another thing is that this time you are no longer working alone. You have to collaborate with your peer departments. You have to collaborate with operations. You have to work with marketing. You have to work with sales, such that you are abreast of what is happening outside and what is happening within, such that you work as a team and achieve the strategic objective of the organization.
Okay. And maybe there is, if you look at when you're comparing again with your peers, especially in the region and internationally, because we are now one village, one global village, are there those particular things that are unique to the financial landscape in Uganda, or you find it's almost the same things?
Okay. because of our level of enhancement in technology, you find that sometimes we are not abreast with these other developed countries. Because here we are just adopting technology, and these other countries have already adapted in technology. They have automated all the operations, and to them, they are more advanced. They are looking at using artificial intelligence, analytics. For us, we are just entering into that space. And whenever something new is coming, it always has resistance from within. So, because recently I was in a workshop in South Africa, and when they are presenting, I realized that for us here, we are still lagging behind because they have at least gone a step above us. However, it's not yet too late. We shall, because the operating environment is forcing us to adapt technology and such that we can work as a global village. Yeah.
And then maybe, like quickly, regarding your, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you participated in the awards before. What was the experience like? Okay, like your own thoughts about the whole awards, the process, and also the benefits of the awards. Have you experienced any benefits as a result of emerging a winner, or even participating in the awards themselves?
Yes, sure, they are there. Because the fact that you are judged amongst the many, that one brings you out, and it motivates you on what you are doing to the organization, and it makes you more innovative and creative, such that in the next competitions, if you are to participate, you become the best, the overall winner. And one of the achievements which I've gotten through this was exposure. Because I was coming from a closed environment, and when I entered into these competitions, they exposed me to the best brains in the country. I got to understand how other organizations are doing. It was a kind of benchmarking in terms of performing my role as CFO.
Okay. Okay, great. So I'll pick up on the bit, and you see one of the benefits of participating in the awards has been the networking, the connections, the exposure, and getting to meet some of the best brains in the industry, and also, of course, you learning from them and them learning from you. I want to talk about the importance of exposure from your experience. Previously, the finance professional was always behind there and trying to make themselves busy. What would you say has been the important, okay, in terms of how would you advise the finance professional to try and take advantage of exposure?
The moment you come out to the public, then the public start looking at you and trying to understand you more, what you do, how you behave, how have you reached that position. So exposure is very, very important to me as a person, and again to the organization which I work for. Because when you expose yourself, then you are exposed to opportunities and challenges. First of all, if there are opportunities outside there, and they are looking for someone of this caliber, because you've come out of the many and you are known, it is very easy to have a pick out to look for you, and they invite you for that opportunity if it is available. And it's also a challenge, because the moment you expose yourself outside, then everybody is trying to see any mistake that you're doing. So you are also exposed to risks, to challenges, and therefore it makes you to be composed and try to walk in the right direction, such that in case, because obviously every person looks at growing, so you try to mentor yourself or to keep yourself upright, such that in case there is any other opportunity that comes up, you take it up.
Okay. Because, I mean, in marketing, we say awareness or visibility, or for that matter, exposure, is the beginning of every consumption decision. And, of course, that's the fact that every person has a brand. So if I don't know you, or if I've never heard about you, I can't even begin to decide whether I like you or I hate you or not. Basically, if I don't know you, you don't exist. Yeah, so I think that's very, very key. Then as a leader, as a people leader, what would you say is your leadership style? And what are some of the key things that you consider as your main values? And also maybe what is also your approach to, to building teams?
Okay, my leadership style is the transformational leadership, where I involve everyone and I make everybody involved such that they can be part of the team. Their contribution can be seen. And that's one of my best ways of how I build my teams. Because I do delegate duty to my juniors. I try to nurture them, to mentor them, and I give them opportunity to come up with the best ideas which they have. And we sit together, we discuss. If it's the best idea, we adopt it. So that's my kind of leadership. Okay. Then another thing is that I always give them time to go and upgrade, to do continuous professional development. Yes, that one helps me to build a very strong team.
Okay. Okay, interesting. One of the key things that I've heard a lot of people and business leaders, especially those who lead teams, is the emergence of this issue of Gen Zs. And I'm sure maybe in the army you don't have much of it because the army takes people who are battle hardened, both in mindset and everything. But I'm sure this again still crops up in a way. There's dealing with young people who. Most times when you start holding them to account, in terms of this is what you said you would do and this is what you've done, so where are the results? People start giving excuses like my mental health and whatever it is. Yet, when it comes to the finance profession, numbers and they are factual. You can't play around with them. And actually, one of the business leaders mentioned about brutal execution of the assignment. Is that an experience? Have you had that challenge of dealing with young people who come from a different generation and their mindset and their work ethic is maybe slightly different?
Yes, that one is there, but one of our advantages is that whenever we interact with these Genesis, when they join us, we first transform them, take them through a training, and that training at least changes their thinking, and sometimes they think positively. However, that challenge does not go wholly because it is within them. However, we always take them through several trainings such that they be responsible and look at things the way we look at them. But because our organization is a hybrid organization because it has military and civilians. Okay. So we try to mentor them, we try to train them, because to them, they look at work as a one of where you enter in office, do something, finish it, and move out. To us, we are the kind of generation who wants to see it work up to late, which they don't see as something interesting. So they try to challenge it. However, the best way is to always keep them on training, keep nurturing them such that they get used to the environment. Okay.
Yeah, and then of course, like you talked about a bit of working late hours, sometimes carrying work home. There's also the issue of most finance people are known to be workaholics, and then that of course now brings in the issue of balancing, work-life balance, and of course at some point there's been the issues of the family. And what has been your experience? How do you make sure you keep the scale balanced?
Obviously, you can't keep your whole life to work to become a workaholic. When you become a workaholic, then you find that the social aspect is missing, and maybe. By the way, I think that is one of the challenges why we have these Genesis, because most parents are engaged in too much work, so they have little time with their children, and that one causes the children to develop a culture which we previously didn't have. So to me, I always have time for my family, and we sit together, weekends we move together, we go for outings, such that I keep in touch with my family. Keep in touch with my, because you cannot finish the work.
Yeah.
The day you die today, tomorrow they will appoint another one. So you cannot say that, no, for me I have to do this. No. You work, however, you make sure that you perform to the expectation of the organization.
And as a person and from a professional perspective, what are some of the things that worry you? I mean, I could say me as a journalist, I'm worried about how the internet has made our life so difficult, because a story breaks today, in 5 minutes the story is everywhere. So you can no longer, so that keeps on worrying me in terms of, okay, how do I innovate to stay ahead of the curve? I don't know, you, from where you sit, what worries you?
Okay, the biggest challenge which we have now is technology. Because technology is taking up everything. So that's why in the first question you're asking me that finance professionals are now strategic thinkers of the organization. Because, for instance, now we don't have bookkeepers. That role was taken by machines. We don't have, even now, an analytics. It is being done by AI. So the biggest challenge that worries me is that we should always be innovative all the time. Be innovative and always learning something new, such that you catch up with the advancement in technology.
Okay. Okay. I think learning, yes, learning is very key. And maybe as we come closer to the end, looking back, I'm sure you've learned a lot of things, but what would you say are some of the key main things that you've learned that maybe if you met your younger self like 10 years ago, you'd be able to say, my friend, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, or you need to learn this, otherwise where you're heading, things will be tough for you. What would you say are some of the key lessons you've learned along the way?
The key lessons that I learned along the way is being responsible. Being responsible with everything that you are tasked to do. And one of the challenges which is there currently in this world is integrity, developing an integrity character. Developing, being with that character where integrity is the primary key or the primary driver of every business or of even a relationship. If your relationship is not so solid enough, then it cannot be sustainable. Yes, integrity, accountability, and being transparent. Those are the key things that I would tell. Then another new aspect which for us finance officers didn't have was stakeholder management. We used not to talk much, but now these days you have to see how you package financial statements in a way that a layman, for instance, if you are presenting to the board, so that the board can easily understand what you are talking about without using the technical jargons. So being a communicator also is very, very critical, and it has not been part of my character because I'm a soft-spoken person.
Great. One of the key areas that people are talking about today is how to integrate the sustainability agenda in the overall strategic direction of organizations. And I know you've previously won a sustainability award. I think that was in 2019. How are you, as a CFO, trying to drive this agenda in Wazalendo?
Sustainability for any business to thrive and live for the next generations to find it, it has to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And sustainability, we used to look at it in terms of profits. However, it has evolved to involve environment, to involve social and governance. And in terms of our organization, we have adopted it as part of our strategic objective. It's one of our strategic objectives, and we aim at ensuring that we have a healthy environment that we operate in. And when you look at our business, basically our biggest effect on the environment are basically about 4 or 5 things, products, because there is electricity, there is waste management, and our biggest waste is electronic waste. Because we use a lot of computers which have a short life period, and the way we dispose, we are not sure whether those people that come for them, those who buy them, are the way they dispose them. So we are now trying to adapt a strategy where we have a sell and buy back, where we give you a contract to supply us computers. After their life period, you are supposed to come and take them and give us a new package.
Okay.
That is one of the strategies we are looking at. Then in terms of energy consumption, we have adapted the renewable energy. We are now installing hybrid solar power in most of our branches, and I think so far we have installed in about 5. And the strategy is to have all our branches installed with solar. So we are trying to run the risk of environmental degradation. And on social, we are a gender-sensitive organization. Our workforce is composed of 42% women and 58% men. So we have tried to adapt this in our strategic planning such that we fit within the operating environment. Because in the coming future, these Gen Zs you are talking about, they are sensitive. And the moment, because they are always on the net, they know how to use these gadgets, they know the effects, they know what they are supposed to advocate for. So we are trying to make sure that we are within, we have all this, we have encompassed all this in our strategic plan. In terms of governance, we have a very strong governance body. We have a board. We have all the board subcommittees, the risk and compliance, audit and risk. We have the structures of board committees are very strong enough to manage the risk that is associated with sustainability.
Okay.
And we also maintain our trajectory of being profitable for the next generation and to benefit from this organization.
Speaking about profitability, how has Wazalendo been profitable? I know some time back I wrote about the performance, but I have not been keeping track. Are you financially sustainable?
Yes, Wazalendo is a financially sustainable organization. Our portfolio is at 1,058 billion. Our profitability by the end of last month was 57 billion.
Wow.
And our membership is growing. We are sustainable.
Okay. Interesting. Then the cybersecurity and financial risk landscape. How is it like from your perspective? How do you see it? Is it getting any better, or we are coping?
One of the biggest challenges of technological advancement is cyber security, cyber risk. Because today you buy a firewall, tomorrow the hacker is busy trying to see how to navigate around it. So the more you automate the systems, the more exposed you are to the. So what you need to do is to always keep a watch, keep a watch of your operations to ensure that these risks are mitigated. You try to use all the available preventive measures to ensure that you have a safe and secure working environment. Otherwise, these guys are outside there, always they are developing new viruses to ensure that they collapse your system. And being a financial institution, we are very sensitive on that, and we always upgrade our systems to ensure that we are not vulnerable to these hackers.
Okay, and you've successfully been able to manage.
Yeah, we have been successful. been able to manage. For the last 18 years we have been in operation, have never had any.
Okay. Maybe people fear the army.
You see, with the cyber security, you don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. And usually, some instances where it has been successful, there is always an insider collaboration. So the integrity of our staff has been good so far.
Okay.
And we hope to maintain in the near future.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. And it's been a good conversation around, see how you're pushing boundaries and exploring the growth mindset, not just for yourself, but for the organization as well. Maybe as we close off, is there any special message you'd like to package for us? Any closing remarks? Any additional advice you'd like to offer to especially the upcoming guys out there who maybe they think they're stuck in their career or they want to progress fast, and maybe what has worked for you, what you have learned, that maybe they could take away, and this would help them to grow and push the boundaries much faster?
Yeah, one of the things that they should take is that they should be patient. Because people these days, they're impatient. They want to join today and tomorrow is the CEO, is the CFO. They need to be patient and grow with the organization and develop themselves. Then the supervisor will be seeing them. And they should always try to learn a new thing every day, in line with the profession. That would make them better placed to be promoted and maybe be better leaders in the future. Then secondly is that they should uphold the value of integrity. Integrity is the key driver of being a CFO. If your integrity is doubted, then you cannot get anywhere. And nobody will trust you with the funds of the organization. Yes.
Okay. All right, cool, great. Thank you very much, Julius, for some very interesting insights on how to fast track and push the boundaries on your journey to financial leadership. But no matter the need to push and fast track this, Julius insists that you must let the process take its course. There must be integrity. You must learn something new so you can be able to add value to the organization. And of course, you also have to be a transparent person, as well as demonstrate that you can deliver value to the organization. Stay tuned to for the next edition of the CFO Playbook, brought to you by CEO East Africa Magazine. See you next time, and thank you and bye.